And Magomed ain't just a wrestler. He got submissions as well. And Charles was able to get up, avoid all submissions. He defended a lot of takedowns, and then he would get taken down and stand right back up. The next fight we have up is going to be Jimmy Flick versus Charles Johnson. Oh, this fight is 50-50 according to Tapology. But Jimmy Flick, the last time we saw him was actually, he retired after he beat Cody Durden. That's why we hadn't seen him in 2 years.
That's never a good sign when a fighter retires like that.
Yeah. Now, he was riding a 4-fight win streak before he retired and had a good win. And I don't know if it was because of injury or just a personal thing or whatever, but he's back now. He's fighting Charles Johnson. And Charles is coming off of a controversial split decision win against Daukaus where it looked like he was down the first 2 rounds and then started to pick up steam in the 3rd round. And I told you this, Charles, because of his LFA background and being a champion for the last few fights, it seems like his game was more geared towards a 5-round fight. But in the UFC, you're not in the main event or like a title fight or something. You're in a 3-round fight. And so if you give up those first 2 rounds and then you start picking it up in the 3rd round and looking real good, but you still down those initial 2 rounds, for whatever reason, they decided to give the fight to Charles Johnson. I think they really were just kind of saving him because Daukaus, he's not finna go and be no champion. It ain't like he pulling in a bunch of numbers or anything, which I know they're still messed up to take that from him because he probably deserved to win at 29-28.
And also, you got to think about it's the flyweight division, so they trying to get rid of some of these guys in the top 10 who don't really deserve to be in there.
I don't think Daukaus was top 10.
You don't think
he wasn't in the top 10. Oh. Probably want to get rid of some of these guys who ain't moving the needle.
Oh yeah,
but Charles Johnson can move the needle. So
the only thing is with Jimmy Flick, I think he had some of the worst striking in the UFC.
But I will say this, if you look at Jimmy Flick's record, he got 16 wins, 14 by submissions. The thing is, he got 4 knockout losses though. And in order to get the fight to the ground, you got to think about this. Charles was taken down repeatedly by Magomed on short notice. And Magomed ain't just a wrestler. He got submissions as well. And Charles was able to get up, avoid all submissions. He defended a lot of takedowns, and then he would get taken down and stand right back up. But he never was just outstruck or in any type of submission danger the entire time. And
obviously, Muhammad is a way better wrestler than Jimmy Flick. How is Jimmy going to get the fight to the ground? He's one of those type grapplers.
And even better technically with submissions because the people that Jimmy beat, the people he submitted was like lower level. You know, like, you're supposed to beat these people, man. Like, you got to realize these fights are dating back to 2010.
But the thing is with Jimmy Flick, I'm looking at some of his losses. He got steamed. He got embarrassed, like, early on in the fight. And I'm not going to pick him in this fight, but one thing is with Charles, if he kind of plays around and he doesn't pull the trigger, he might be in trouble. And because the thing is with Jimmy, all he needs is one opportunity. We seen that Cody Durden fight. Cody was embarrassing him. And he went for a flying triangle. He got the finish. And the thing is, if Charles play around and try to win a decision, he might end up in the 3rd round in a bad position. He might end up tapping out.
Well, I'm going to tell you something else. If Charles don't get started earlier on, he's going to be in trouble. Now you're in the UFC. You know how they're judging fights. You know how they're scoring fights. You cannot wait until the end of the 2nd round, 3rd round to start getting into your groove. That's why I think a lot of people fall into that. They might start picking it up as the fight goes on, but now you done lost a 29-28 decision when you had way more to give and way more to do. And let's say if it was a championship fight and it was another 2 rounds, maybe you could have went out there and maybe got a finish or whatever. But at the same time, that's not what this is. So in a 3-round fight, there's no reason Charles Johnson should lose this fight. But he should be acclimated now and realize you got 15 minutes. You only got 15 minutes.
Yeah, if Jimmy had better striking, I may actually pick them. But because of the lack of the striking offense,
and the wrestling to get the fight down to do a submission, because you're not going to be hitting people with flying.
Absolutely not.
And but one thing that worked against Charles in the last fight against Daukaus was leg kicks. But the thing is, Jimmy, he gonna be getting pieced up, man, because his hands ain't even really like the most dangerous. So
easy call for Charles.